Good afternoon and welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. So everyone, we'll get started in just a minute. Waiting for everyone to have the opportunity to join. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 2 o'clock, so good afternoon and welcome to our third office hour session addressing infection control, auditing, and tracking tools. I am Joanne Skinner, Quality Improvement Advisor with Health Quality Innovation Network, or HQIN. I am joined today by Mary Child, who is President and owner of Child Healthcare Consulting. Mary is an RN, an RACCT, a QAPI certified professional, and she supports facilities across the U.S. to implement systems that will enhance compliance with regulatory requirements and improve outcomes. I'm also joined by the HQIN team of infection preventionists and quality improvement advisors. First, a few housekeeping tips. Everyone is currently muted. If you have any questions or would like to comment, please use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. All attendees will be able to see the Q&As, and if for some reason we're unable to answer all the questions in this session, we will follow up afterwards. At the end of today's session, there will be a short evaluation link posted. We'd appreciate it if you would take a few minutes to complete that so we may serve you better in the future. This presentation today is a visual resource to our infection control, audit, and tracking tools. We will briefly step through the processes in our previous sessions on RCA and action planning, and then focus on meaningful auditing and effective tracking and trending. As a reminder, HQIN members will automatically receive a link to this presentation and other resources after this session. If you're not a member, we invite you to join. Please contact your state's quality improvement advisor that will be listed at the end of this presentation. Now let's jump right in. An opportunity presents itself. Your staff report that COVID-positive rooms are not being cleaned, trash and dust noted under the beds, bathrooms not being cleaned, and floors are sticky. You make rounds to follow up and you validate the concerns. So your opportunity is noted. What are your next steps? First, you want to gather your QAPI team. Evaluate the concern. Your rounding indicates that you have issues with COVID room cleaning. Make sure you document your rounds. Observe as many rooms as possible to establish a solid baseline. Observations need to be on all units that would have any transmission-based precaution rooms and on all shifts as appropriate. The QAPI team determines a performance improvement plan is needed. Carefully choose the appropriate team. Don't miss the value of frontline staff. Include your EVS aides who are directly cleaning the rooms. In other clinical PIPs, we need to include a direct care CNA or a CART nurse for a different perspective on the gap. – Now let's move into action planning. On our last office hours, we addressed how to create an action plan and a goal using the SMART tool. Our SMART goals include specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-phased. This facility has chosen the goal, COVID transmission precautions will have environmental cleaning compliance at 95% by November 30th, 2020. Next, we pull our RCA team together and we work through the 5 whys. These are the root cause analysis that were identified by this facility. Number 1, the staff were scared to go in. They weren't really clear on how the PPE protects them and other residents. Discovered there was no daily checklist of room cleaning tasks. Recently, we had condensed our EVS orientation to be provided by the EVS manager. Previously, the IP was presenting this orientation, but she had been reassigned to cover point prevalence survey management. 2 open EVS staff positions have also created more rooms on the assignments, and the staff report they just have no time for details. I'm sure many of you can identify with these root cause analysis. So next we want to start on our interventions. We want to determine interventions that are appropriate to what our RCA reveals. So we want to examine that and move forward. So this facility did create these interventions. They have a new daily room cleaning checklist, and they even went a step further and printed and laminated it so it could be on each cart and then sanitized as needed. Education was provided on the new checklist, but also focused on EVS's understanding of COVID and other transmissible diseases, the PPE purpose and protection. IP also will return to teaching EVS and orientation and annual trainings. And then temporarily, we've reallocated job duties with the EVS manager, taking responsibility for community area cleaning, including frequent touch point disinfecting. Our next step is to establish clear auditing schedule. Determine first if you do have enough data to have a baseline. Did you audit multiple staff, multiple shifts? Have you looked at different units that have transmission-based precautions? If you do not feel you have captured enough data, continue with auditing to get enough data to present a clear picture of your issue. This facility determined that they had their baseline, so they will now set up a clear auditing schedule. As you see here, they're going to audit 5 transmission-based precaution rooms per week for 4 weeks, and then 3 per week for 8 weeks. The responsible leader for this audit will also assign these audits to include all units, the various staff members, and various shifts as indicated. Some auditing tips that are really important. Make sure that you choose or create an audit tool that meets your needs. Educate your auditors. We often hand a stack of audit papers to a new team member and expecting them to understand the background of what each question means. Remember that audits are just guides. We are responsible to provide the knowledge of what goes behind the question. So an example is in our daily cleaning audit tool that this facility will be using, there is a question. Pull cords are clean and hang free of railings. Clean is pretty obvious, but why are they not tied to something like the bed rail? As an accident risk, we know the residents may become entangled in the pull cords, call lights, and sustain injury. Another great education opportunity is to ask the staff to audit with you. If you have time to explain exactly what you're looking for, they will learn much more through a coaching method. So next, some tips on observational audits that we do. So our observational audits are not completed with the purpose of showing 100% compliance. Your goal is to gather realistic information and overview of your facility. How many times have you been cited in a survey and you look back at those audits and they're all 100%? So we're going to take a practical approach to learn where our team members need coaching. When training your staff to complete the audits, make it clear that our objective is to capture our true compliance. It is okay to verbally cue the person I'm auditing that they're non-compliant, but I must still record that on the audit tool as a no. So an example would be if I'm monitoring an EVS cleaning a room, the EVS aide states they're done. You note that there are tissues and cookies in the floor up under the head of the bed. You need to stop the team member, explain your observation, allow the team member to complete the task. The item for floors not sticky, free of dust, will be marked as a no. When you exit the room, you will provide one-on-one education and document it right on the audit tool. Have the employee sign to attest understanding. This is not intended to be an official counseling, but a record that they have been educated. Your facility HR process will determine at what point a team member may require an official counseling. So the other point is our best observations are completed when no one knows you're auditing. It's that saying of doing the right thing when no one is watching. That is the behavior we all strive for. I am frequently asked, how can I be a secret shopper? They know I'm here to observe. So here are a couple of my thoughts. Make more frequent rounds. Stop and chat at the nurse's station. You don't have your clipboard in your hand, but while you're there, observe. Down the hall, is the EVS worker going in the COVID room, applying her PPE correctly? Or did you see her step out in her full PPE to grab the mop off the cart and slip right back in the room? And the other thing is meal delivery time. Are you watching your team members on that unit take that tray and zip in their room and set it down because they're just dropping off the tray? So if they know you're watching, you're right, they're not going to do those behaviors. So being that casual observer is sometimes a secret shopper mentality. An additional tip that's not here is that it's also really beneficial to have managers audit other units. So nurse managers, if they can audit another unit, or if one department can audit another department, we would have to train them, but it's really, you see it with different eyes. So here is just an example of a cleaning tool. This is the APIC Daily Guidelines for Daily Cleaning inspection form that has been adopted by HQuinn that we're utilizing today. If you design your own tool, be sure that you have a space for your auditor to write comments. That's very important when you're analyzing. So now if we have some data, a critical piece, audits are completed, filed away without any analysis. We get a big stack, we have our numbers for the week, but we're not really going and digging down into the audits. So to identify gaps, you need those real observational audits, and you must assign a designated team member to track and trend results. Monitoring your audits weekly allows you to see more immediate trends. Do not wait an entire month to analyze. You will lose valuable time and allow bad habits to develop without any coaching or correction. Remember, if the interventions are not working, review, maybe complete a new RCA, establish some new interventions, and revise your action plan. And so now what I'm going to do is show you HQuinn's tracking tool, if I can get it to move over. Oh, give me just a second. Sorry, you can tell this is not. There, I think we made it. Awesome. Okay. So HQuinn has created some really simple to use tracking tools that take your audits and produce monthly and weekly audit results. And so I'm going to just review with you the basics right now so you will understand how they work. So this is your first page, and you'll see across the bottom you have several tabs. So you want to start with your instruction page. And what's important to know is these 5 gray boxes are only filled out once. And like for my state, if you pick your state, because the 4 states are the states that HQuinn works with, then this will pull up all the nursing homes in that state. So when you pick your nursing home, it will automatically complete the CCN number, and that would be something HQuinn would need if you're sending us tracking tools for help for trending and compliance. Your tracking start date also is a drop-down, so whatever month you start your tracking, you just put this in. And then what is your compliance rate? Well, we know in the goal that we saw it was 95%. Below these boxes, there are directions on how to complete the tracking tool, but today I'm just going to walk you through most of that. So now I'm going to switch to month 1, which is going to be where I enter data. And you'll see that this starts with May, because May is what I chose for my first month. So it's very important to complete the assessment information over under where it says May 2020. So the first line would be my employee name. You may put a full name. If you do, though, you would need to de-identify that. If you needed to send that to HQuinn, we don't need full names of your employees. If you put initials, those do not have to be changed because those are not identifiable. Under unit and room, pretty much you free text in what you want. What's important is to be consistent. So you'll see here we have unit ABC on my audits. But A really stands for azalea. So here someone typed azalea, and then someone mistyped the spelling of azalea. So when we look down here in a minute at unit rates, the two different azaleas are going to pull one audit for compliance, and they're not going to be included in your A because it only pulls by directly what you type into the space. Now, if you type azalea with an A and azalea with a lowercase a, the letters are the same and it will pull. So just room. Now, the room number is the same way, and for this audit, you would decide, are you tracking 112? Or are you tracking 112A and 112B as two audits? So your facility would decide how you're going to count those audits in your tracking tool. And then assessment date is really critical to put because this is the number that you put here automatically puts it into a weekly tracking form for you. So if you don't put a date, you will have data in your monthly statistics, but you will not have data in a weekly statistic. And so now for the meat of the audit, all the questions that are on the audit tool. So I'm very excited that you only have to put the no's, where I did not meet the audit description. So my ceiling tiles, air vents, and sprinklers were not cleaned for TB. And all I do again is I click there and it gives me a yes or a no. If I put a yes, it's okay, but it only pulls the no's for my compliance. So I don't have to fill in every single space with an answer. So I think that's a huge time saver. So once I have some data, I'm going to switch to the bottom again to summary rates. So here you will see I have inputted 3 months worth of data. And so this is my monthly report, and it tells me how many assessments I had and how many of those assessments were perfect. It gives me my overall facility compliance rate and the number of failures. So the really nice thing here for a quick glance, and this is my whole facility, I'm going to try to scroll fairly slowly. As you scroll down, you see, for me, they're orange, but when there is a non-compliance. So it tells me the numbers of things that were missed. So as I scroll down in my 3 months, it's pretty quick to see that I have some issues in cleaning those bathrooms. Below the grid of individual questions, I have, this is my monthly compliance rate, and this is my monthly failure rate. So this one you want to go up in my compliance rate. My failure rates, of course, you want to go down. So this is just a good, this is my overall facility compliance rate. Directly below my monthly compliance rate is my option for a weekly compliance rate. So here again, this box that says June, we track, our system tracks for 2 months in a row. And so I could change that back to May if I wanted. I'm going to leave it at June for today, but and then it would reset my data. The point I did want to make is that you'll see the end of June, we had what would look like a week from 6/28 to 6/30. And then the week of July is a short week as well. And that's trying to capture the monthly rate and the weekly rate in the same spreadsheet. So that would calculate your month of June would include anything done in June. So again, here we have your compliance rate of the whole entire building. And it looks like we started low, we started to go up, we had some 100%. We had a little dip here, but knowing that was really 3 days, so maybe not as many audits done, with 3 and 2. And then we 100%, and then it looks like we kind of forgot where we were, right? So we need to figure that out. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit more slowly here, sorry. Again, you'll see the missed area seems to be the bathroom, but we already knew that from our other one. And so this is our weekly, as you see the numbers below, for this 2 months. So if I wanted to go back 2 months or forward, say if I already had August data in, I would just move those months at the top. So how to drill down even more is we're going to switch at the bottom again by summary rate. We're going to switch to unit rate. So this one is going to track by unit. The first time you open it up, it'll be blank, but you see this dark blue line at the top. You click on the light blue section, and here is where you will see your units that you've entered. So you do see that my 2 azaleas and my azalea would pull to a report, but of course they're only going to have that one audit in it and not my multiple audits. So I'm going to look at C, and we're going to see here, this is my monthly tracking, and I'm going to, again, see this is where a lot of my issues are. I'm going to scroll down because I know it's 20 after and I'm almost done. Again, here is where we can really look at our weekly rates. They went up, they went down. And so when we're analyzing again, we're going to need to go and look at C, our unit C, maybe do a new RCA, dig in to find out where did we started off with a bang and now we're going down in compliance. So this trending on that unit is going to be where we would probably focus. And for if you need to know your staff members for now, what you would need to do is just go to your month and see where your noncompliance was by staff members. Room rates is also, just so you know, for us, the only thing I would use is like 101. I said, okay, he's the complaining resident and family that's in the administrator's office 3 times a week, and so I decided his unit was going to get audited, his room was going to get audited all the time. So in May, you see, we did not do well. In June and July, we have done well. So that's the basic navigation of our audit tool. And so now, oops, sorry about that. Go back up. So now that we have the data and all this great information, we want to make sure that you use it. You've worked hard to gather this data, so don't let it go to waste. So be sure to do these things. Review your trends and compliance weekly. Really, weekly is the key. Monthly is collected, but we want to look at it weekly to not let it get out of control. Trends, identifying your trends. Do you need a new RCA? And then continue your monitoring to help assure sustainability. And then, of course, we're always going to take it to our CLOPI meetings, and we're going to review our action plans, our RCA, our compliance results, and determine if that action plan needs to be updated. So quickly, I'll show you these are the audit and tracking tools that HQuinn has designed that will be available to you at the end of this session. Oops, again, yep. And for those of you that have not already joined HQuinn, if you contact your state advisor, they will be able to help you join, and then they can see that you get the resources from today, the audits and the tracking tools. And if you have any questions, you can always email us, and we'll be happy to assist you. Please remember to complete our evaluation. And then last, we definitely want to invite you to join in 2 weeks, our next session on QAPI. And everyone has a role and responsibility. So we thank you today, and thank you for all you're doing to serve our residents and staff. Your commitment does not go unnoticed by our HQuinn team. We will now open up our session to Q&A. If you have questions or would like to comment, please use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. If you would like to ask a question or comment live, please click the raise your hand icon, and we will unmute you so you can ask your question or comment over the audio line. Thank you. And do we have any questions yet?
Hi, Joanne. It's Amy. We do not currently have any questions, so we'll give it just a minute, see if people type in, or again, if you want to raise your hand, we can unmute your line as well.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting, and I have Mary on the phone, I was going to ask Mary if she would like to expand a little bit on the importance of utilizing trending in a performance improvement plan.
And actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mary. I did want to mention right before you started talking, we did have a question come through. So I don't know if we want to take that first or if you want to. Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, Amisha Cruz, I am going to unmute you. You should get a message pop up on your screen allowing you to talk.
Okay. Hello. I had talked with, I believe, Dana, and I know that you all had an audit tool that you could put your own information in. Yeah. Okay, that's still available through this? Okay.
Yes, we do. Honestly, I was short for time. Thank you. I skipped that piece because I was running out of time. But we have a generic audit tool and a generic tracking tool, so you can, they're editable. The one I showed you today is not editable in the audit questions, but we do have one that you can make your own. And those links will be provided with the other audit tools at the end of the session.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. So Joanne spent quite a bit of time today talking about collecting the data and analyzing the data and identifying trends and patterns. That is critical, particularly in many of the situations and the challenges that we are currently experiencing. We simply don't have enough time to do everything that we need to do. So if you were able to spend a few minutes up front and drill down to identify and know where your successes are occurring. On the flip side, to have clear understanding of where there is opportunity for ongoing improvement, it will move you toward changing that behavior and improving compliance a lot quicker than just waiting and looking at it from a very large perspective. So spend a few minutes. It's well worth your time. It's going to save you a lot of time on the back end, and it is going to allow you to target your effort so that you will see the more positive outcome that you are achieving. So Amy or Joanne, do we have other questions?
This is Amy, and we do not have any questions.
Well, thank you, Mary, for reinforcing that for us. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we would thank everyone for joining on the call today. And we hope that you join next in 2 weeks. I know that Mary Childs will be one of our presenters on the QAPI process. So we're very excited to host that in 2 weeks. Are there no other questions, Amy?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you.